Well, another mild day across central and eastern Kentucky on this Thursday. Of course, the rain gear coming in handy along the I-64 corridor, staying high and dry for the most part down south. But the good news, a little drier conditions expected on Friday. That's going to allow some record highs to be challenged as we surge through the 70s in most locations. It does look like a wet and stormy Saturday, yes, with a few storms potentially as well. So something to keep in mind for the weekend. It does look briefly cooler as we close things out on Sunday, but more mild air is ahead. Viper radar showing a few light scattered showers either side of I-64. You folks in southern southeast Kentucky, we talked about it earlier in the week. You were going to be mainly dry over the last few days, and that is how things have played out. Here in Lexington, a few spotty showers. The main action here running right through Richmond, north central Madison County. Got some spotty activity back toward Frankfort and down the Bluegrass Parkway. And I think this 64 corridor, as it has been the last few days, that's going to continue to be the favored area because that boundary is laid out along the Ohio River here, even though the overall coverage is lessening. I see western Kentucky there where it's a little bit warmer, a few little pop-up storms, but the main surface low is exiting the area. You see some wet roadways there in front of the Montgomery County Courthouse in Mount Sterling. It's only 61. Meanwhile, farther south you go where it's been dry and you've seen some blue skies and a few breaks in the clouds, up to 72 near McKee at the Kentucky Mesonet site there in Jackson County. So those areas along the Kentucky 80 and Howell Rogers Parkway corridor southward, mid 70s, farther north under the clouds and the rain, low 60s. So yet again, another temperature gradient, but the warmer air down south, that is going to win out. Now the boundary that's along the Ohio River, it'll actually kind of pivot back to the north as a warm front as the low pulls eastward. So we stay in the milder air. Our futurecast is still trying to fire off a few scattered showers, maybe a rumble of thunder or two along 64 northward during the overnight hours. But I think for the most part, the activity should be isolated. We'll be around 60 in the morning, and then look at the surge of warm air. How about mid to upper 70s for highs? Down south, Futurecast picking up on a couple little isolated cells. That's the key. With less rain chances, a few breaks in the clouds and that south wind, that should help us out. Much different story on Saturday because we've got a legitimate cold front heading our way. So if you do have outdoor plans for the weekend, you may have to adjust those because it does look wet and stormy. And then it will be cooler, relatively speaking, for Sunday. But at this point, mainly dry. We may squeeze in a couple of dry days. We do have the potential of some strong to possibly severe storms. Level 1 in green, much of the area. Flemingsburg, Moorhead, West Liberty, and Syersville over into parts of western West Virginia and eastern Ohio. Level 2. I think damaging winds and some hail being the primary threats. Our temperature trend still looking good. Yeah, we'll back it off a bit Sunday, but that's still above average by about 10 degrees. And then we're back in the low 70s on Monday and Tuesday. So really a pretty good finish to the weekend. Beginning to next week, mainly dry, but that warm front arcs through, bringing the milder air back, but also the scattered shower chances. As far as rainfall is concerned, I think a lot of this is going to come when the main surface cold front arrives on Saturday, but maybe an additional half, 3/4, maybe up to an inch in spots. Obviously, northern Kentucky's seen a good bit of rain. And additional rain could cause a few minor flooding issues. Mild isolated showers and storms, again, primarily north. 60 for the overnight low. Breezy and warm tomorrow. Record highs possible. 78 the expected high. 77 set back in 1973. That's the record here in Lexington. Wet and stormy Saturday. Don't forget about the time change as we spring forward. Daylight saving time returns 2 a.m. on Sunday morning. A lot of those clocks go forward automatically now with technology. A few you'll have to set yourself. And then as we head into the mid part of next week, another system brings more rain and storms and a legitimate cool down with highs this time next week back around 50.